You have to let each attendee in? No, they'll just kind of come in. And then tell, yeah, so we'll be able to see. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're just going to wait a few more minutes as more people are slowly logging into the webinar. So we'll probably start, in about 2 or 3 minutes. Hello, everyone. Well, we're going to start now. So thank you very much for joining. Really appreciate it. For joining the Blueprint team here at Deaf Children Australia. Just quickly, I thought I'd introduce Nonu and Kayla, who Kayla is profoundly deaf and she's oral and she signs. We also have Nick joining us on the panel as well. So there are 4 of us who are going to be taking you through the Blueprint resources tonight. We also have 2 presenters and 2 interpreters who are signing everything as we present. And I just thought I'd let you know that if you want to show, if you want to see not only the presentation, but also us as presenters as we demonstrate, when you go into your Zoom, you can click the slide, you can click the icon in the top right-hand corner and then use the slider on the individual screens to make them smaller or larger as you wish. So you need to click the icon to see a gallery view. This presentation will last about 35 minutes. And as I mentioned, we've got Auslan interpreters throughout, and we're also recording the session to allow us to provide the whole session with captioning. So I'll start now. We're basically, we're here to help, as in Deaf Children Australia. And I'd like to go through an acknowledgement of country. Deaf Children Australia acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land, sea and community in which we are all respectively meeting today. And we pay our respects to all First Nations people and community elders, past, present and emerging. Now, Deaf Children Australia, I think it's important to understand what our vision is as an organisation, because it's the Blueprint set of resources, the Blueprint programme, answers back to what our vision is. And our vision is to create a world where children and young people who are deaf and hard of hearing have every opportunity to reach their full potential. The whole point about Blueprint is that this is for those deaf and hard of hearing children, because we want their lives, their hopes and their dreams to be fulfilled and allowing them to reach their full potential. So about Blueprint, the families that we have in our community told us that they were worried about finding accessible mainstream sport and recreational activities that their deaf and hard of hearing child could join. And we have heard over the years that it's really tough for a family with a deaf and hard of hearing child to find a club or organization that they feel has some sense of being deaf aware and has some sense of wanting to be inclusive of a deaf and hard of hearing child. So bottom line, Blueprint is about inclusion for everyone. And why Blueprint? Why the name Blueprint? So the name grew out of feedback that we received from families and clubs who were looking for some kind of map or blueprint to refer to that would give them the tips, skills, resources, inspiration and guidance about how best to approach including a deaf and hard of hearing child in their organisation. So today's presentation is about taking you through the Blueprint programme, through the resources, which are both online and printed, and providing ideas on how you can use them in your local club at home, which is why I've invited Nonu and Kayla and Nick to talk about how they would use the Blueprint resources, because each of them is in situ. They're either a coach or they are training in a sport. So Blueprint is a fresh take on promoting access and participation. And all of the resources were inspired by the lived experience of deaf and hard of hearing children and their families. We videoed a whole bunch of different families, about 12, and some of those videos are really inspiring And I would really urge you to look at some of those videos which are online in the Blueprint website. So from swim clubs to chess clubs, footy clubs, dancing, photography, painting, all sorts of things. These resources help those kind of clubs gain confidence to support and include a deaf child, and also for a family with a deaf child to feel confident that they can go to a club and show the resources and have and feel confident their child could be included in that club's activities. This is just some of our posters, and I think probably the thing that we learned from all of the interviews we did is that bottom line is about winning is taking part. It's not necessarily about just winning, but it's about being included in the mainstream activities. So from this set of resources, coaches, teachers, instructors will learn key things to remember when a deaf child wants to join a club. The kit that we are providing, both online and printed, will receive tools and tips and tactics for being inclusive. And here's a quote from one of our football talent who's actually got a great video, which you should watch, from Tom. And he's saying, my coach understands where I'm coming from and makes sure I'm in front of the group every training session. I would urge you to watch Tom's video because his mum is so engaging and really passionate, and it's got some good tips about being inclusive. So to develop these set of resources, we took a co-design approach. And by that, I mean, we involved a lot of different people to give us their advice. We did in-depth video interviews. We ran steering committee meetings. We spoke to coaches and parents. We did surveys. And from that, we got a whole bunch of key learnings, which have then been transformed into a range of items. And what are those items? Well, the first thing is what we're calling the toolkit, which is a box. And in the box is a whole bunch of goodies. So there's a whole range of posters, which they've got everything from like how to welcome new friends, tips on communicating, the Auslan alphabet, really useful if your team wants to learn how to use Auslan to spell the name of a deaf and hard of hearing child, which is a really lovely way to welcome a child. Auslan numbers, how to sign the Auslan numbers. Not only that, in the box are two paddles, which are kind of brightly colored paddles. And there's a whole range of Auslan stickers, which you can remove whichever sticker is relevant to your team and stick them on the paddle and use the paddles out on the sports ground or in the gym. So there, you've got room for 4 different words. And the idea is obviously that, on a sports ground, a whistle is not going to do it for a deaf or hard of hearing child. You really need to have visual cues, and that's what these are for. They're quite light and quite easy to use. And we've got a range of 12 stickers. We've also got window decals, and these, they don't look very impressive like they are, but when you tear them off, they're actually stickers that you can put on the inside of the entrance to your club or your swimming club or your sports club or your school to show that you're a Blueprint endorsed organization. You've got 2 stickers. We've got information sheets, a heap of information sheets that provide help and advice and tips. Some of them are sort of quite lengthy, but they're worth looking at. They talk about being inclusive, be welcoming, and there's a whole range of them. And we've also got some cute little brochures about Pip and Annie's tips to deafness, how to look after hearing aids, and recognizing hearing trouble with children. We've got a pocket reference, which has proven to be really popular. And it's just something that you can slip in your pocket as a coach or a teacher. And it's got some key signs. And by key signs, I mean single signs that don't necessarily need to be in a sentence, but are useful to use on the sports ground. And last but not least, we've got the flashcards. We've produced flashcards for another of our programs, Puggle Swim, and they have proven to be massively popular. So this is a range of 30 sporty signs, and they've got a little split pin, so you can pull them apart. But each of the signs, let's say this one is penalty, on the back is a QR code, and you can access the QR code, scan it, and go to our website. It'll take you straight to the website, and you'll be able to see a live person signing, showing you how to make that sign. And that is relevant to all of these 30 signs. So I think, in fact, I'm positive that we'll find them really useful. And what we're suggesting is that these would be, you might, before you start your game, when you're briefing the team, you might pick out the 4 or 5 signs that are relevant to that particular brief that your plan that you're going through with your team, and just use those 4 or 5 signs, and then the team can start practicing those signs and use them on the ground. So these are just some photos of the items. And now what I'd like to do is I'd like to throw over to Nonu, Kayla, and Nick to talk to you about how they would use the Blueprint Toolkit, because I think it's worthwhile hearing from the horse's mouth, so to speak, about how to best make use of these resources. I should stress that this kit is free, and it's free for the first 150 clubs or families that ask for it and register for their webinar. So I would hasten, for all of those who've not registered, that you want to have one of these kits sent to you, send us your details, and we'll put one in the mail for you this week. Anyway, I'm handing over to Nonu now.
Thank you, Sarah. We're very privileged to have both Kayla and Nick join us in the webinar to share their experience. Firstly, we're going to introduce Kayla, who's going to chat about how she would use the Blueprint Toolkit as a coach. Kayla is actually part of the community engagement team here at Deaf Children Australia. And Nicholas has been involved with Deaf Children Australia in lots of capacities. And he's actually just returned from the Olympic trials in Brisbane. So we're very, very lucky to have both here. So now I'm going to pass to Kayla, and she's going to share her experience as a coach.
Thanks, Manu. Hi, my name's Kayla. I am a basketball coach in the team that I coach. There's 3 deaf and hard of hearing kids and 5 hearing kids. So there are definitely a lot of benefits to Blueprint when I coach. First of all is that it's very, very visual. And as the deaf and hard of hearing players in the team all have different communication needs, Blueprint is good because it can tailor to each 3 of those kids, but not only them, but also the hearing teammates in the team. One of my favorite things is the paddles. It's very easy to use. You just pick 2 or 4 of the most used signs. That's another good thing. It's that you get to choose which one you feel you use. But this, I feel, in my team is great to develop game awareness skills. So when I do it, they have to look, or if they're bouncing the ball, they have to look at this. And it just shows the same level of understanding when we're using this. Number three, the blueprint is simple but effective. Again, it might not seem like much, but it's quite a lot when you begin to bring it into training or game days. Blueprint is convenient. It's literally, you can just bring this to training and it has everything you need. Another one of my favorite things is this pocket ref. It's small, easy to put in your pocket. You don't have to be carrying this big bag. It's literally just in my pocket. Game day, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Look at it. Yeah. And then do it. Blueprint encourages team culture, as it shares each player's experiences. So for those deaf and hard of hearing players can share how they like to communicate, and we can use this to make sure that everyone's on the same level. For example, we taught the team zone, so sometimes we forget. So when we were starting out, we didn't know, like we forgot. So one person would go zone so that everyone saw, not just yelling it out. And so you can use any of these signs, and so all of them can know what it means, and they're all included. So then they all gel together a bit better, and it's a great team. But on top of that, I would really recommend you to watch the mini documentaries, because I think that's my absolute favorite part of Blueprint.
Thanks, Kayla. And I really love that you said that it includes everyone, because that's really what Blueprint's about. So now we'll hear from Nicholas. So Nick, if you're there.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Awesome.
We want to go to next slide.
There we go. That looks like my slide. So I had a good chat. I actually just received this toolkit this morning. When I had a look through, I was absolutely amazed with the products that is in the box itself. There's lots of diverse tools that could help the deaf and hard of hearing children to communicate with not just their coaches, but to their teammates or even parents, just the community in general. It doesn't matter if it's a sport or an art. I think it works in a lot of areas and stuff like that. And let's get straight to, my five main things. First of all, the flashcards are absolutely amazing. I absolutely love them. The flashcards I'm talking about is these ones. The idea of having especially the QR code at the behind of each of these cards, and of course it will go straight to the video and shows you how to do it exactly. That was a really cool feature that I found myself. And of course, when I was looking through, for me as a swimmer, there weren't, there were mainly the 30 main sporting signs. But then I asked, okay, is there more like sort of sports specific kind of signs? And then they said, yes, there is. It's all on the website. So if you want to go more sports specific, like me for swimming, they're more up there. So there's 30 of these ones right here in front of you. But if you want more of them, they're all online, which I think is great. The second thing is the paddles. So these very bright, colorful things, when I opened them up, I thought they were table tennis rackets. And then I realized they weren't until I couldn't find the ball. So, but either way, I found that, first of all, they're really bright colors. So they're really good for, let's say, if you're playing a game, whether it's AFL or netball, and it's a nighttime session, and you try and see this or that from a very far distance at nighttime, it's very easy to see. And as you know, the presenters say, you could put stickers on them. I find that even just having color-coded signals is also pretty good. So that's an option as well. Third thing is the printed resources. Now, the printed resources I'm talking about is like these little A4 little posters, those ones right here. And what I really love about them is, yes, they're very visually appealing. They're very simplistic. They could go anywhere. I was thinking maybe if it's, let's say you're going to go to a sporting center like well, for me, it'd be a swimming center or just at a football club, you could hang these around sort of like at that club, just to not only let the coach be aware that you are coaching or taking care of a deaf or hard of hearing athlete or student, you're also letting the teammates know, you're also letting the parents know, you're basically letting the whole community know that there is someone with deaf and hard of hearing abilities, and that they will be feeling more understood once, you know, those people going around, taking the time, having a look at each of these individual posters. But main thing is they're very visually appealing. They're very easy to look at, very easy to understand. And there's, you know, multiple of them. So it's not all just crammed into one bit of information. Now, the fourth thing is the stickers. Usually what the presenter would say is stickers will go over there, but I think in my opinion, they're very multi-purposeful, because stickers can honestly go anywhere, almost anywhere. But this morning when I was talking to Nanu about these stickers, I was thinking, oh, you could even put them on, like, let's say the whiteboard. So if, for example, your coach is explaining the set or explaining what they were about to do next, you know, you could have these little stickers just on the corner of the little whiteboard itself, just to help the coach or even the teammates around you who's in the same squad as you actually try to communicate you when you're having difficulty hearing yourself. I know that's something my squad does. They memorize some of the signs, so then they help me actually understand what we're going to be doing next. But that stickers will help them so much more. It helps them remember stuff. It helps them sort of go feel more confident talking to these individuals, those deaf and hard of hearing individuals specifically. And yeah, it was really multi-purposeful. That's the main thing about those stickers. Now, the fifth thing is the pocket reference. It's that little small one. There we go. Now, what I loved about this one is very simple, it's very accessible, easy to carry, portable, and also just to add on to that, because it's made of paper, you can like maybe write down notes on the corners and stuff like that. So like, let's say you got this information down below, just sort of like say, all right, this is walk. This is how you do the sign walk. But let's say you're in a soccer match and you want to tell this person to be easy on the pace. You don't want him to slow down. So you could sort of say on the thing there, this also means slow down or stuff like that. Go in a walking pace on the soccer field, for example. So there's many different ways you could do with these many tools that's been provided. So, and it depends on the sport as well, whether you're a swimmer, whether you're a dancer, or you're doing some sort of art, for example. You know, all this is possible. And with these tools, many things are possible. Many things, it's just the only thing that's limiting you from the use of these tools is your imagination. So I very much loved it.
Thanks, Nick. Really appreciate it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think both Nick and Kayla make a really good point that there's quite a lot that is contained in the toolkit, and it provides a lot of versatility, which is really great to know. So now I'm going to take you through Blueprint Online, and basically that's everything that is provided online. So a lot of what you see that is in the toolkit, particularly the printed resources, you're going to find online. There are some special things that people will receive in the toolkit. So everyone who's registered for one will get the special extras. But like I said, most of the stuff you'll find online. So once you head to Deaf Children Australia's website, you'll find the Blueprint web pages, and we've separated them into two different pathways. So we've got a section of the website that is dedicated to clubs and community organisations, and then we've got a section that is dedicated for families with a deaf and hard of hearing child or young person. And so some of the things that you'll find on the website is we've got over 100 Auslan videos, and those are Auslan signs that cover off different activities. And like Nicholas said, we've got swimming, we've got basketball, we've got netball, we've got dance. So there's a whole range of activities there. We've got the 12 mini documentaries, and those feature the families, different hard of hearing children and young people, and coaches and anyone else who's connected to them, telling their story about their sport and their experience with inclusion. And one of the key takeaways from the videos is there's a really lovely message from all of them, and it's really, change doesn't have to be hard. And we learned that by being able to watch these stories of a lived experience, you know, from people who are going through it, like the coaches, the parents, the team members, the deaf and hard of hearing individuals themselves, it can really help to build confidence and that understanding, and really sort of build a can-do attitude, and that doesn't have to be that hard. And Blueprint is there to help. And so some more of the things that are on the Blueprint website, we've got downloadable info sheets and posters, which cover things like tips and what a coach should know about engaging with a deaf and hard of hearing person, how to be inclusive and welcoming, some colorful posters, and some of the ones that Sarah demonstrated earlier, tips for communicating with a deaf and hard of hearing person. Everyday Auslan signs that you can learn to make your deaf and hard of hearing teammates feel included. There's such a variety there, so really encourage you to check it out. We've also got written narratives from kids with a lived experience about being deaf and hard of hearing and being included in a sport or being involved in a mainstream activity. And then we've got a section where if you're not sure where to start, we've put together we've handpicked a small set of resources that you can download, and they're almost like a first step. So if you're not sure where to start, you can head to that section of the website. So we'll just whiz through the Blueprint section of the website. So this is the Blueprint homepage, and then you can see we've got the 2 navigation paths, resources for clubs and community organizations, and then resources for families with deaf and hard of hearing children and young people. And it's got a little bit of background about what Blueprint is and why we created it there. And I thought we'd just take a look at a video. So this is a compilation piece, and it's got all the best bits from the docuseries that we've been talking about. So we'll take a look at that now. That doesn't like us. Bear with us a second. It doesn't seem to like us. Okay, what we might do is we might circle back to the video, and if you're interested in checking it out, I will send a link to watch that video. For some reason, it's not liking us. So this is just a look and feel of what the 2 different sections on Blueprint looks like. And we kind of went for a very distinguishable, different kind of look and feel for each section. So this is the section for families with a deaf and hard of hearing child. It's got a really easy, sort of simple to navigate, user-friendly kind of navigation. And you can click into one of the tiles. For example, if we go into downloadable fact sheets and posters, this is what will come up. So you've got a whole range of resources that you can check out, and they cover a whole range of topics as well. And so those are easy to download and print, and you can hand them to anyone. Really easy to use. And the beauty of it as well is that you can send it on multiple platforms, and so they're really accessible for anyone. And this is what it looks like for the clubs and community organizations. So very similar in terms of navigation and user experience. So if we go into the Inspiring Video Stories tab, we can see all of the videos that are in the mini documentaries there. So I do encourage everyone to check it out, and we can send a follow-up email with all the information on how to get there. So some of the stories that we covered, we've got a swimmer, we've got a photographer, Sky Bond, who's a swim instructor. She is based in Queensland, and she is an advocate for creating inclusive environments for kids of all abilities. We've got an ex-Olympic fencer. We've got Grace Johnson, who is someone with a hearing loss, and she's the only child in her school. So we kind of explore how the school creates such an inclusive environment for her. We've got a mountain biker, we've got football, Sea Scout, and we've got a dancer and a tennis player. And then we've got two subject matters about parent advocacy and inclusion for everyone. So like I said, we encourage everyone to check out those videos. They are really great. So this is the look and feel of some of the resources there. And again, those ones. So I would just like to share my experience as a coach. So I coach a netball team up in Queensland, and we don't have any deaf and hard of hearing people in our team. But if we did, this is probably how I would like to use some of the resources that you'd find online. So I'd like to think that one of the things that I'd be looking for are some tips and tricks. So some handy printouts with some key information about how to engage a deaf and hard of hearing person. What's really great about these, like I said, you can download them and you can print them. And at our club, we've got an area of the clubhouse where it's like a notice board. So people are sort of always congregating around that area, looking at the notices. And I think that would be a really great place to stick up some of the posters. It's just a nice way for everyone to sort of view them. You get a lot of foot traffic there. Another great thing about the resources is we kind of create little subgroups on social media. And that's just to keep us informed about what's happening. You can share the resources on these platforms. Like, for example, we use WhatsApp, and it's a really, really great way to share information. Auslan, if a deaf and hard of hearing person used Auslan, learning key signs can make a huge difference. It can make a huge difference to the person's confidence, but also by embracing it as a team, it can really lift the culture of the team. Tech tips, I'd love to get familiar with the different types of technology that the deaf and hard of hearing person might use. It can make a huge difference to communication, and it can sort of give you an edge competitively if you can understand what kind of technology exists. Communication tips, some simple and easy tips to remember. And so some of the posters like that have some really, really good examples. Like if a deaf and hard of hearing person needs to see you directly so that they're able to kind of read your lips, making sure that they're kind of at the front of the group and so they've got your face in full view is a really, really helpful tip to remember. And then lastly, having a go, it starts with you, and you'll impact more people than you know. So it can be really confronting to try new things. But I think what's really good with Blueprint is there's so many shared experiences about different ways to kind of implement different strategies. And there's lots of ideas, like people have used lots of different strategies. So yeah, it's really about having a go. So I'm going to throw it back to Sarah, and Sarah is going to take us through a 4-step workshop.
So thanks, Nono. That's great. I thought maybe if we've got time at the end, we could just see the video if you can link it.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so this is just some suggestions. What we felt would really help would be for those clubs that are, they've got their kit, or you've got your kit and you're thinking about how best to use it. Some suggestions on how you could set up a process. So obviously we know that the best way to engage with the team is to explain, to show, to do, and repeat. So step 1 would be schedule 2 half-hour workshops, maybe 2 weeks apart, because that gives people time to practice in between. Workshop 1. So our suggestion is you cover the need for inclusion. I think it's really important to really stress what a difference having an inclusive culture can make, and how much of a difference it makes to a deaf and hard of hearing child to feel included in mainstream activities. And then explain the resources, actually pull out the kit, pull it apart and show how all of the, the paddles and the flashcards, etc., could be used, maybe with a couple of examples within your sport. Maybe then show a couple of the short films, because we know that they're inspiring, and they also give some context to the whole of the Blueprint program as the parents and kids and coaches talk about what a difference it makes to be inclusive. And then invite your team to try out some Auslan signs from the flashcards. And we know actually from another program we run called Puddle Swim that this works really well if you can encourage give people maybe 4 or 5 signs to learn during the 2 weeks. They practice amongst themselves. They could even share signs on WhatsApp, and they can refer to the Auslan videos by scanning the QR code, so they know how to actually make those signs. And then the next step is okay, so then you actually run the next workshop. I suggest here, revisit those resources, go through them again. The more you repeat it, the more comfortable everybody is going to feel with using these kind of resources, which might be a little bit alien to them to begin with, especially like the flashcards and the paddles. Stop using a whistle, but start to use the paddles is quite a jump to make. Then I think discussing feedback from your team about what they watched by way of those inspirational videos and what they read about online, and find out from them how they feel they could build their inclusion skills. And again, invite the team members to demonstrate the Auslan signs they've tried out. And then step 4, ongoing, invite feedback about how Blueprint resources worked for your team, what could be better, and maybe discuss some instances of how, why, and when the resources were useful or not, as the case may be, but it'd be interesting to find out. And suggest your team try out Auslan amongst themselves. They've got heaps of different, they've got the 140 signs of Auslan videos online. And what would be great would be to share your team's feedback with us at the DCA, because that will help us review and refresh the Blueprint resources on an ongoing basis. I mean, that kind of feedback is gold, and we would love to hear from you. So that is the Blueprint webinar finished. We're going to be running another one in about a month's time. But I would urge all of you who are here tonight to make sure that you sign up for your free kit, and we'll pop it in the mail to you. And yeah, thank you very much. But before we go, are there any questions? If you could type them into your chat, that would be fantastic.
We do have one question here.
Yeah.
From Laura. And so Laura's from the Western Swords at St Albans in Victoria. And she'd like to get in touch with Frank, who is our ex-Olympic fencer, and he's based in New South Wales. Yeah, thank you, Laura, for the question. So you want to get in touch with Frank and see if he'd like to get involved in reaching out to Victoria's deaf community. I'm happy to make contact with Frank directly and ask him on behalf of you if that's okay. I've got your email address, so I can touch base with you as well, and then I can.
He's super enthusiastic, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah, check out his video. It's great.
It's great. Yeah. Will the kits be available to purchase?
Once we're past the 150 kits that we have available, that we've been funded for, because this is a fully funded government project. And once we've got the 150, yes, they'll be available for sale. At the moment, the price is about $125. So I urge you to get your teeth into that first 150, because they're free.
So don't forget to send us your address. Molly is asking, are we able to send through more commands relating to our sport? Yes, 100%. So I
No, we
can't,
talked about this, didn't we?
yeah, so I can't remember if I mentioned, but so our library of Auslan signs, we did receive feedback about adding a list of Taekwondo actions and skills or commands. So we're consulting with some Taekwondo instructors to make sure we've got the correct commands, and then we're going to work with our native Auslan experts to help us translate those commands into Auslan. So yes, please,
Bring it on.
yeah, send it through. I'll send a follow-up email with the best email address to contact us, but it is the blueprint@deafchildren.org.au email, but I will send that through in an email.
Yeah, and we would really welcome, I mean, wouldn't it be great if we were able to have 20, 30, 40 different sports with at least 10 Auslan signs for each of those sports? It would be a fantastic resource for the sporting community.
We have a question from Colin. Do the kits cover Auslan signs for WA, as some of the signs are different over here? And I might just pass to Kayla, who can speak to that.
At the moment, the signs that we have on the website are Southern dialect, but we can work on adding Northern dialect on that. So that is definitely a possibility in the future.
It's something we've come across quite a bit, actually, but we wanted to just crack this first set of resources, but we know that we need to be doing Southern, and there's also Northern dialect, isn't there? Yeah. So we'll be working on that over the next few months.
Someone has suggested rugby. Well, interestingly, we do have a list of Auslan signs for rugby on the website. So you'll just have to go and check them out there.
We've got 10 or so, have we?
We've got 10 or so. Yep. Yeah, we do. So,
Is it rugby union and rugby league?
Yeah, union or league, let us know. I think there's a bit of crossover, but there's a few differences there.
I think there are some differences. Okay, what else have we got there?
Would you consider having these resources translated to Darug? I think I've pronounced that right, the Sydney Aboriginal language.
Okay, that is a really good question, and one that we should definitely consider. And at the moment, over the last few years, we have been working with the Indigenous Literary Foundation, and I know that they have a resource, or they have a team who will translate resources into various Indigenous languages. So I think great suggestion, and thank you. And we'll talk to them and find out if there is that potential, because we provide them with all the resources and they would do the translation. So we'll look into it.
Are there any contacts for archery? We could do some investigating. If you're looking for contacts, I can get in touch with you directly and we can sort of liaise on what you're looking for, Cal. I'm happy to do that.
Yep, we can do archery, no problem.
Oh, and someone's just commented, I received my kit yesterday. Amazing. I thought about laminating the stickers and putting a Velcro dot on the back and one on the paddles. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, that's so funny you mentioned the Velcro dot, because we had a lot of arguments about that here, and we ended up with the stickers because we wanted something that was really easy to use, and we can provide more stickers. We've got more if you need repeats of the stickers.
Okay, I think someone's raised their hand. Just figuring out how to answer it.
If whoever's raised their hand, if they could write their question in the comment, in the chat, that would be terrific. Whilst you're doing that, not you, but I'll pick up that video.
Yeah, there's one, we'll do one last question and then we might take a look at the video. Richard's asking, are you catering for deaf-only groups to teach recreational games such as chess or is that drafts?
Drafts, yes.
Are you only aiming for inclusion?
So when it comes to chess and drafts, it's a really good question because obviously that's not about, a really physical activity. We're really focusing on trying to provide words that or signs, Auslan signs and advice for any type of recreational activity. So that's why I've included photography, for instance, and dance. So I think chess is a really good example of another kind of activity and another kind of club that would be really good to have the Auslan signs. So we'll definitely put that on the list with archery and taekwondo and anything else that anyone suggests. So thank you.
All right, we're just lining up the video quickly. Okay.
Not working. No, we're not sure. We don't think it's working. So we will leave that for the moment. Oh, here it is.
It always brings such a positive attitude to the training environment, and that can only have a positive effect on those around him.
They were the best people in my life in swimming. The support around I had outside the pool that really, kept me going throughout the years. Regardless if I'm hearing impaired or, I have a disability, I could still hopefully do wonders and, show the other people, and showing other people like myself, like those with this hearing impairment, they don't feel as confident. And I see that from my own eyes and through my own experience. So I just kind of want to show them that they could do anything if you put your mind to it.
You always have to find the positives of something. I feel like a lot of people think they don't accept you or it's harder for you to play, but I always found that it was so much more fun. Sometimes you might mishear what someone says and it can be funny. And if you're always like, oh no, like I'm hearing impaired, they're not going to accept me. If you think of all the negatives, that might be the outcome. But if you just enjoy yourself and have fun and just show who you are as a person, everyone will accept you.
The man at Auskick, he was told that Tom couldn't hear him. So all he did was look at Tom in the face and he'd smile, and he'd let Tom see what he was saying. And Tom was absolutely remarkable at reading his lips. He learnt from staring at people and looking at their facial expressions and things like that. And that's how they communicated, and it was wonderful.
We basically try and communicate with him face to face. He's a very good lip reader. So if we're facing each other, he understands quite a fair bit actually. Well, everything.
He understands me, like where I'm coming from. I'm always supported by my teammates that push me into the front.
He's brought a new sense of life, not only to the coaching staff, but to the players as well.
They have accepted him and they have welcomed him so beautifully into the club, and they're there for him. It's just really lovely, a great place to be, and it's really helped him grow up.
I used to be so ashamed of myself for being deaf, and I would always hide it. Now that I look at myself, I think that was like one of the dumbest mistakes I've ever made. Self-love, self-acceptance, all of that is so important. And if you can't accept yourself, no one will.
It's very heartfelt. I get very emotional when I'm seeing kids with additional needs, just mixing and just feeling like they're one with another kid and they're just for having fun.
I think all kids aid from a visual learning experience as well as audio at the same time. But particularly for someone with hearing impairment, I think doing so a lot of demonstration really helps.
We need to, more often than not, look through the eyes of a child. They don't see any difference. You want every kid to be able to play every sport or have the opportunity to love sport or any activity. And some coaches get it and some don't.
Different isn't bad.
Okay, so that wraps it up for our presentation. I think all of those kids are so inspirational, and I really hope you get a chance to check out those videos on the website. By all means, if you've got any questions and any of the further the questions that we've not managed to cover, we'll respond to those. But you can email us, and you can email us directly. You can email Nonu. You can ask her anything. She's really good to help out. And yeah, thank you for joining this webinar. And please spread the word, because the more people that we can encourage to be inclusive, the better. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Nick, for
Bye.
joining, and
Thanks,
to
Nick.
Kayla as well. Thank you
And
so
thanks
much.
to the
And
interpreters. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Bye.